Black History Month. So today we'll be focusing on the importance of coaching and mentoring. So we know that actually with the conversations that we've been having, the importance of role modeling and visibility and professional development, coaching and mentoring is so important to that. So today I've got a wonderful panel who've had various experiences of being a coach or being coached, and we'll talk about what people have got out of it and how you can use that experience and how to get involved as well. So I'll let everybody introduce themselves. So we've got Lelly, Chidi, Diane, Sandra, and Dorothy, who are in various stages of their career and have had lots of experience. So Lelly, I'll start with you. Could you tell me a little bit more about yourself and your experience with mentoring and coaching?
Hello, Aman. Thank you for inviting me. So I'm Lelly Oboh. I'm a consultant pharmacist in care of older people. I work for Dianes and Thomas's NHS Trust and also work for the NHS Specialist Pharmacy Services. My experience of coaching and mentoring has been kind of varied. So I have been coached. I had my first coach in 2004. I stumbled into. But since then, I've always had at least one coach, sometimes two. And I started coaching officially after I got my coaching qualification since 2017. So I tend to have some pharmacy colleagues as coachees, but also I have people who are just in my organization or just normal people who are not pharmacists. And just more recently, I've been part of the coaching team at the NHS Looking After You BAME program, which is about BAME people coaching BAME people in the NHS. So that has been an eye-opener.
Brilliant, thank you. And I know you're a big advocate for coaching and mentoring. I know whenever we've spoken about you, you're really passionate. And Chidi?
My name is Chidi. I'm a pre-registration pharmacist in the hospital in Preston. My experience has as a coach and also being coached has all come like it wasn't planned. I went to work. It was last year during the COVID period. So I supposed to go on a placement in a Butch hospital, but they said no, they are not taking students anymore because of COVID, what was happening. But if you are willing to work for them for 3 months, that you should come in. And I went there, just as a student, just to get little money, work, and go home. Then a pre-registration pharmacist was starting in August. And then I was told to coach the pre-registration pharmacist to, so that she can know what is going on and how things are done, how things are run, how the pharmacy, is, because it was her first time and it's her first job. I coached her for a month and then showed her around, told her what to do, how things are done, and sort of if she gets into difficulties, she would just chidi, and then I will come. That made her to feel so relaxed and sort of confident enough. Despite she's a year ahead of me in pharmacy. So as we are going, and it's not like I know her before, she's from Vietnam. So for me, it wasn't, I was trained to be a coach or anything, but it happened that I was showing her that. And then as I left, because I have to go back to uni, while she continued with her pre-registration, she was so happy to call me anytime she's run into difficulties and say to me, okay, this is what is happening. Well, how can I do this? How is this thing done? And then I carried on. We keep talking, and as time goes on, during when she was preparing for her exam, she would call me and say, "Oh, I'm panicking." I said, "No, you will be fine. You'll be fine. Try to be positive. Try to be encouraging. Try to sort of like be there for her." But she passed her exam. Oh, we went out, we celebrated, we had a party, and now I'm writing. It's my time for my own pre-registration exam. She's turned back to be my coach.
Yeah.
So she's the one now coaching me telling me, "Oh, don't worry, oh, you'll be fine. This is what you should do. This is what you should do." So I'm like, okay, it's a reversal method of coaching. So I'm getting a payback of coaching, and then I've been given the same support, and her support is so massive. And also the support I receive from the ACPN also is also massive. So I feel now that yes, I'm in a better place to pass my exam. So it's a good experience, and uh, she's doing good. The network is also doing good as well. So I don't know what to say, but that's my experience.
Oh no, it's positive. Thank you, Chidi. And I love the fact that it's come full circle as well. And also the fact that there is no level of there's no experience, age, or seniority. We're all learning from each other, so that's really lovely. Dorothy.
Thank you, Aman. Yeah, I'm Dorothy, and I currently work at Southeast as a cancer and aesthetic service pharmacist. In the recent past, I never really thought much about having a mentor, but since I started networking with several professionals, I could draw from vast experiences. And so whilst I was still provisionally registered, RPS put out their mentoring service and I signed up. And that was when I started a formal mentor relationship. I've always had someone in my corner who's been a sounding board for my ideas, someone with more experience who could see the bigger picture than I could, and more importantly, someone who I could ask questions or who could ask me questions actually that I haven't considered. So I think my mentors actually gained something from our relationship as well. And within our relationship, we could talk through several issues and issues concerning me. I could discuss a range of issues, both personal and professional. So that's been my experience so far.
Brilliant. Thank you, Dorothy. Sandra?
Thank you, Aman. Like Aman said, my name is Sandra. I'm currently working as a rotational clinical pharmacist at Mid Cheshire Hospitals. My experience of mentoring started formally with the RPS scheme as well, like Dorothy. I signed up and got matched to mentors, and I found that so helpful. That was through pre-registration year, and as I was provisionally registered as well. But even before that, I sort of had informal mentors. So before I went to uni, I knew a few pharmacists. So they were sort of my mentors as well, and I could ask them anything. And after qualifying as a pharmacist, I thought that would be good as well to help other people, because I could not have made it where I am now without other people helping me and guiding me along, which is why I took the opportunity to be part of ACPN, and that has been really good so far.
Brilliant, thank you. And Diane?
Thank you, Aman. So I'm Diane Ashiru-Oredope. I am the lead pharmacist for Antimicrobial Resistance, a UK health security agency, previously Public Health England. I'm also the Global Antimicrobial Resistance lead for Commonwealth Pharmacists Association. And I have other roles that I participate in, including being an honorary lecturer at UCL School of Pharmacy. In terms of mentoring, so I have had both. I have been mentored and I mentor quite a few people, both professionally and personal and non-professionally. I have the way I approach mentoring is quite interesting because I have some mentors who don't even know they're my mentors. I have those who I call my remote mentors. I basically stalk them on social media, see what they're doing and learning from them. But through that, for example, at a time when I was considering leaning out of pharmacy and not so much pharmacy, actually leaning out of work and just taking a back seat and taking the foot off the pedal. And I reached out to someone who I'd been following on social media because I needed somebody who'd been in a national role before, who might understand the challenges that I was having. And I reached out to her. I still remember January, early January, I sent a WhatsApp, a message on Twitter and said, "Can I have a conversation, please?" She knew of me, but I don't think we'd ever spoken one-to-one before. And she agreed to have that conversation with me. And for 6 months, we had regular conversations, and she just supported me through the challenging times at work, through what I wanted to do next with my career. And I still always credit her as being a very important, apart from God, being a very key person for why I didn't lean out at that time. Also, when I wanted to complete my RPS faculty, I found another mentor. I found a mentor specifically for that. So if I have a task, then I would find a mentor to help me through that task. And the faculty was one example where I did that. I am on the RPS mentoring platform. I'm not currently active because of mentoring several other trainee pharmacists through ACPN, and I'll talk a little bit more about that later. I have had one formal mentor, actually, is a male colleague at Public Health England, as it was then. And initially, I always thought that my mentor needed to look like me or sound like me or be a mom. But actually, it was a man, not Black. And it was a great mentoring experience for me. So yeah, that's been my experience through mentoring and being mentored. And I also have a personal coach as well at the moment, because I'm focusing on something within my personal life as well.
Brilliant, thank you. And I love the fact that it's not always, doesn't always have to be a formal thing, and it could just be for a particular reason, and that job's done. So it all comes in various shapes and sizes, and like each of you have mentioned, it's all been different and for different needs. So yeah, thank you for sharing. So Lelly, I'll come to you. Why is it important to have a coach and mentor?
First of all, just very quickly, I just wanted to say, obviously, different people have different experiences and there's no right and wrong, but generally speaking, a mentor is somebody who is wise in a particular aspect of life that you want to move forward towards. And what they tend to do is to help you through their wisdom and their lived experience to kind of show you the way, help you how to avoid the pitfalls, expand your networks, and kind of advise you and guide you in your thing. So you tap into their own experience and wisdom to move forward. And so they tend to be people who are in the same profession as us, or who are in the thing that we're looking to move forward towards. So I think everybody needs that, because you need somebody to teach you and to guide you. And so there's nothing like somebody who's had an experience before to show you how to get by. So as a mentor, although I do mentoring and use my wisdom, I even use a coaching approach to mentoring, which is I'd only help you if you're stuck. But kind of I'm very much on the end of, people have a lot in themselves to be able to move forward. So just coming back to coaching, I also think, just like everybody else has said, everybody needs a coach. So a coach is not so much someone who is experienced in what you're looking for, but somebody who is there riding alongside you, cheering you up and helping you to see a bigger perspective or to see things in a different way, because we all only know what we know, and we're all a product of our own experience, which is limited. It doesn't matter where you're from. And so the coach broadens the perspective. So you begin to see things differently. They challenge you to see things differently and to consider all other options. And so they kind of increase your repertoire and kind of make you a bit more resilient and to dig deep inside yourself to find what you need. So I just wanted to say, because this is kind of Black History Month, so I'm just looking specifically at women of color. So there's an American study that says 66% of us, compared to 6% of white females, are excluded from informal networks. You cannot do anything on your own around career development. So we need to tap in. So it's so important for everyone to have mentors, and at least you must have one coach. Coaches tend to be a short-term relationship for a specific thing, and then you move on and you can keep, whereas mentors tend to be long-term relationships that you have. So I think I'm going to leave it there because I know other people have things to say, but I would say if you haven't got a coach, you need to get one. There is a Looking After You to a BAME program, which you can log on to. There's the London Leadership Academy or any other leadership academy, which is regional. I don't think your coach has to be the same as you. Sometimes there's a need for people who are different to broaden your perspectives. But since doing the BME thing, there's also value in coaching someone who looks like you, because they understand certain things because they do.
Yeah, no, thank you, Lelly. That's really important. Did anyone else want to add anything to that? No. So my next question, Diane, is about ACPN, and it would be great to hear more about what ACPN does and the reason why it was formed, and then also I suppose that demonstrates why and how coaching and mentoring has been effective.
Thank you, Aman. So I'm going to give a little bit of a history, and then I will share a little bit more. So hopefully, but just stop me if I start going too long. So in 2018, I basically created a Telegram support group. After 2 to 3 years of reading the constant headline that more than 30% of Black African pre-registration pharmacists failed the July exam. So that's more than 70 Black pre-regis each year. So for me, it was not percentage. I was thinking about 70, and that's 70 lives, 70 families. I felt helpless. I felt dispirited. And for 2 years, I just moaned. I created a group and I felt like I was moaning because I was a parent and I'm a former student, and I could just understand the anguish that these students were going through. And understanding the African background, it's usually the mother that gets the blame. Like, wherever we want to say, that's just often, not always, but often. And so I wanted to help, but I didn't know what to do. So Oz, who is the reason why we have a national student conference for antimicrobial resistance, and my mentee at that time, just as a student, asked if I could mentor him and a couple of friends. So that was the final push I needed in 2018. I said, well, no problem, get a few of your friends together and we'll see what happens. And before I knew it, there were 30 people on the group. It started off as WhatsApp initially, and then we moved to Telegram. So that was 30. So and then so I asked, okay, we needed a name. We need something to identify just so that we could be able to move forward. I didn't know where it was going to go. I thought it would do it for 1 year with Oz's group, and then that will be it, and it'll be fine, and it'll be solved. So they chose the name African and Caribbean Pre-Registration Pharmacy Network. So that's what ACPN stands for. And then by July 2019, I couldn't see any other group really focusing on this. So I said, no problem, we'll create a WhatsApp group again and see what happens. And then we had 80 members consisting of pre-registration pharmacists, recently qualified pharmacists, and final year. And the approach we take is really, I couldn't do this without the newly qualified pharmacists. I often say to them, if I had to take the exam now, I would fail woefully. So it's the newly qualified pharmacists who make a big difference to this and have done consistently. And I'm so proud of them, so honored to be part of them. So I guess in many ways I'm mentoring and supporting them, but also this bigger group as well that they're mentoring, and then I'm providing that additional support. But what we do as a group is we have small mentoring groups of about 10, maximum 10, and we provide support for life, professional support, but really the main focus on ACPN is really around the exam. It's about passing the exam. There is UK Black Pharmacists Association, and we encourage them if they want other mentors, if they want to be connected under the networks, if they particularly wanted to be around Black pharmacists, although it doesn't matter, it's not that essential, it's not essential, then they can go there to get that support for general mentoring. But our main focus is around the exam. So we run webinars, and then we do revision group sessions. So at the moment, we are doing live quizzes where we basically get on and they have to go through a test of 30 questions of questions, and then also a calculation each week. We've been doing that now for the last two cohorts. And then if they've got concerns, then we share also financial support. So if we every year we put out a call, if you're struggling to pay for a mock exam, it's a little bit better now because it's cheaper. But in 2018, the costs were astronomical as far as I was concerned. I mean, even though I was qualified, the amounts that people were asking for mock exams was high for me. So we've so far funded 20 pre-registration pharmacists through their mock exams or revision sessions. I particularly want to give a shout out to the name is escaping me right now. Help me, somebody. It starts with farm, and it's just go. Anyways, one of the groups, one of the qualified pre-registration training groups gave us a discount, and that enabled us to actually add in 2 other people from the funding that was available, and I'm so grateful to them for that. I want to say farm outcomes, but that's because I've got something else in my head from work. But if anyone remembers the name, please please put it into the group. It's really gone on my head now. Anyways, last year, one of the outcomes is that 100% of those who were resitting their exam passed. For us, that was key because particularly those who are doing the resit groups, we have a intensive support for them, just providing an environment where they're constantly able to be able to study together and to share what they're learning over time. I'm going to end by just sharing one of the quotes from a student from a pre-registration that we got. It says, "I cannot thank you and your team enough for this initiative. Only God can reward this love and sacrifice. I got 80% and above in both papers. I'm really amazed. ACPN helped me tremendously. God bless you. Thank you. More grace to do more and be a blessing to many." For us, it's when we get those sorts of feedback and messages that makes it worth it, because it is a labor of love. None of us get paid for this, and all the pre-registration, all the trade, the early career pharmacists have busy lives. They're all, on call, doing all sorts, and also some of them are new mums and trying to do their work and support others as well at the same time. So I'm so grateful to them, and I have to shout out to Dee and Sandra because they are part of that leadership group. But there are 16 of them now, and I'm just so proud and so grateful to them. So yeah, that's a little bit about ACPN and the approach we take.
That's amazing. Someone has popped in the chat box. Is it Pharma Plus that you were talking about? It's in there. Someone listening has popped it in. Is that no?
I will.
Okay.
Who is it? Sorry.
It's Bowler. Bowler has put in on the chat box.
I will come up safe now. I just can't believe that it's gone off my head.
No. But it's amazing what you're doing with ACPN.
ProPharmAce, thank you so much.
Sorry,
ProPharmAce. Yeah, thank you, Sandra.
ProPharmAce, thank you.
Brilliant. And thank you to ProPharmAce as well. So it's been incredible. I know, and there's been such positive past results this year as well. So it's really helping.
The results this year have been great, and we've been, it was great to be able to challenge the usual headline that came out, because actually we didn't have the same level of non-passes, but we know that it was a unique year, so we need to keep the pedal on, keep working hard to make sure that gap continues to narrow. Yeah, and our motto is no one left behind.
No, brilliant, thank you. Sandra, how did you find a coach or mentor? So for people listening, what should they be looking for?
So first, when I went on the RPS website, the mentoring scheme, it actually asks you a few questions before you get matched to a mentor. So you have to decide why you want a mentor, what you want to focus on, what kind of person you want. And for me, I was looking for someone who had more experience than me, ideally someone who was somewhere where I would want to be in the next few years as well, so they could help me in how they got there. Of course, everyone's journey is different, but I could learn from their experience and from their journey in order to get to where I am, in order to get to where I want to be as well. And I also considered what they specialized in, because I had a few interests. So I'm interested in oncology, pediatrics. I was looking for someone in that, ideally in that field as well, so I could also get an insight. So it could help me decide if that's potentially something that I want to do in the future. And I was looking for someone who's a good listener, and someone who would be encouraging, just someone who would help me and sort of guide me, not tell me what to do, but kind of help me to see what I need to do and ask the right questions. And I was fortunate enough to get really good mentors, and they would ask questions and I would actually start to think, oh yeah, I know what you mean now, and things will start to make sense because of the type of questions they were asking. So I would say the main thing is to decide why you want that specific mentor. Like Lelly was saying, it depends. It could be for one thing, or you want to pass the pre-reg exam or specialize. It could be for different things. So it depends why you want that specific mentor, and you can have more than one mentors for different things as well. So those are the main things that I was looking for.
Brilliant. Thank you, Sandra. Like you said, it's so important to figure out what it is that you want, because if you don't have a good relationship, that it just could go really wrong. Dorothy, did you want to add anything to that?
I was just gonna say, in terms of the mentoring relationship, like obviously it depends on, depends on the people and the people involved. So it could be an open relationship where you're able to discuss any topic, or it could be restricted to certain topics as well. So those are just a few things to consider. It could be one that, you know, everyone would know about, a public relationship, or it could be private. It could be formal with agreed appointments, agreed venues and timings, and it could be informal on a popping anytime basis, which is how my mentorship relationship has progressed to date. So just a few things to keep in mind as well. Yeah.
Yeah, brilliant. Diane?
Just something to highlight there is that, you know, whatever the mentoring relationship, what's really important is giving feedback. Feedback to your mentor. You know, if they ask to do something, or you agree to do something, then, you know, feedback on how that's going. And I also think that, you know, sometimes people are busy, they want to mentor you, they are committed to it, but you have to, as a mentee, you need to drive that relationship, and don't be afraid. They're not going to think you're bugging them. It's, you know, if you come back and say, okay, I've done this now, I need to think about what to do next, then do that. But I think that feedback is really, I found it useful to feedback to my mentors, and definitely value the mentees who do that as well.
Yeah, no, thanks. I do completely agree, Diane, that sometimes you need that help, just to, when you're the mentor, you just need that reminder of, I'm here. Help me. Lelly, did you want to say something?
Yep, I just wanted to also say that I know people sometimes think having a mentor or coach is all very softy, and you know, we don't really need that. But really speaking, it makes a whole difference. And I think not just for you as a mentor, you get so much back from your mentee, or as a coach, I think you get almost as much as you give. But I think what's more important for me is for the future. And if we have to shape the future, we really need to mentor people. So I mentor or I coach with the mindset that sometime they are going to be doing the same. And so I always send mentees to my mentors. I would do recommendations to my mentors, or to the mentees or my coaches. So it's not just about your career, it's about, you know, holding the door out for other people, is about building the future, is about creating a sea of people who are there to help the next generation, so we can keep helping. And it's about expanding and building our own strengths and our own powers. But we can't sit back there and complain about other people if we're not doing so. Whether you're mentoring or you're a mentee, or you're coaching or being a coachee, I think is a win-win. So I'll definitely recommend that for everyone.
No, thank you, Lelly. Chidi, as someone who's receiving coaching, as you mentioned already, how do you make the most of those meetings and interactions when you're with your mentor or coach?
First, the interaction has to be mutual in a way. You are, for example, I'll talk about the mentorship we receive from ACPN. Yeah, if they are telling you, oh, ask you a question, find something out, do this, and then you're not doing them, that relationship will not be there. That they will still give the support, but it will not be encouraging. If she says to me, "Oh, find out a question, find an answer," and then I don't reply back. I don't get to do as I'm told, in a way as I'm told. But the relationship is something that you have to also be giving, be participating. If it's time to log on, you come in. If you cannot come in, you say, "Oh, sorry, I can't come today," or something happened. So that will make the relationship to grow further, and that will make somebody who is also meant to feel encouraged that yes, what I'm putting in, I think is working, because I believe that every mentor, once they see the outcome of what they are doing, it gives them joy, because most of the mentors, what they give to you is free of charge. I've never paid for anything. And I really want to thank the network, because when I was in third year, that was when I heard about the news. And then I was a bit like, oh my God, am I in the wrong place? But in my final year, I got an email. I don't know where I got that email from, to sign up for this network. And then there were, from there, a bit of confidence and a bit of hope start coming up, saying, okay, you can do it. Why not? You don't have to be in the statistics. So, as somebody who is receiving being mentored by someone, your responsibility is, oh, where do I want to be? What do I want to get out of this? How do I participate? How do I encourage this person to keep giving? Because the person has gone through the road and knows all the bumps on the road, what you can get or what you cannot get. So when you are being exposed to the road, you are like, okay, should I do? Okay, if I come here, this is what I would do. So you are now having even a better advantage than your mentor, who, when that maybe like Diana said, when they did the exam, they didn't have this kind of network support we receive. And so I think I will say, okay, being mentored now gives me more advantage, more opportunity, and also for me to say to somebody, I'm not getting this thing right, and then the person will say, oh, you're not getting it right because you're doing this wrong. I don't know whether I'm making sense.
Yeah, no, you
So
are.
that is, I think, the relationship is something that works in both ways. The more you put in, the more you get.
No,
Thanks.
completely. Yeah, no, thank you. And I have to say, it's really great that you're thinking about mentoring at university level. It's never too early to get a mentor and a coach, because your pharmacy career starts when you're at university. So I think that's brilliant. And Diane, did you want to come in?
Yeah, I just wanted to say, I wonder if people are thinking, well, how do I find a mentor? You know, the RPS mentoring site is one place, but you can literally just, if you find someone you admire, you can literally go to them and say, can I speak to you about X? Don't do a general, I don't think you can say, can you mentor me? I think if you've got something specific, you can say, I'm trying to do this. Would you be able to help me with X? And then use that to have one meeting, because you may get them, you may not like them. And if you don't like them, it doesn't matter, you move on. So that's something to just think, that it doesn't have to be a formal route. You can find, if you're students, PhD students, fourth year, if you're first year, it could even be your same year, but they're doing something different, more advanced in a way. Like Chidi said, he was a student, but he had worked in a pharmacy longer than the pre-reg pharmacist who came in. So he could mentor her. So there's so many different ways in which you can find mentors and mentors.
Yeah, no, I agree. Like when I first got this job, I also went on Twitter and looked at EDI people and just DM'd them and just said, could I get your help? And that's and everyone normally wants to help. It's just about not being shy. And so Dorothy, I suppose Diane's just kind of started answering this part of the question. But how can you start to mentor or coach? So we know about the platforms that are available and how you can, access people. But in terms of, is there any particular training that you've had to undertake, or anything that you think has helped you become a better mentor?
Well, one could start by talking to people they've already mentored, either formally or informally, officially or unofficially. It would be useful to also recognize and reflect on the mentoring that you already do. Maybe talking to other mentors, because mentors have mentors. You could consider the differences between mentoring and other ways of helping, like coaching and counseling, possibly even appraisals. They're just minute differences across these. So it's just reflecting and understanding the differences. And again, reflecting on your own experience as a mentee, because it's useful to know what your relevant job experience is, or your skills, your interpersonal skills as well, your ability to relate with people who want to learn. your desire to help and develop other people, having an open mind, a flexible attitude, a recognition for need for support, because along the way, like, a mentor will need mentoring or support in one way or another. You also need to consider the time and willingness to commit to relationship with mentees as well. In terms of training, I suppose it's useful to understand what's being involved, what's being asked of you. So you need to understand how to get started, how to start this relationships. It's basically just starting to speak to people or talk to people. Also reflect on how you got a mentor yourself, on your own mentoring relationship, how there's the manner of the way they've mentored you. You can borrow the skills or copy those skills. In terms of what I've done, like for further reading, obviously the RPS has a lot of resources on the website to help you start that journey. I also came across something called Pocketbook earlier this year. They publish like pocket-sized materials that support workplace learning and development. So you could look on there. That's one place to start.
Brilliant, thank you. Diane?
Is there anything? Yeah, I was
Sorry.
going to say, Lelly, is there anything available through the academy?
Yeah, I just wanted to say the pocketbook is available on the resources for the London Leadership Academy thing. But also, I think as we've all said, mentoring is about relationships, and whenever there is relationship, there is complexity. And so I would say, no, you don't have to be trained or have a qualification. However, just like with everything, I think the very least you should do is to read about it, to understand the differences and know where to go to when a relationship, for example, a mentoring or coaching relationship, is one that where someone might need counseling, and especially with the mental health aspect. So I think we must be aware so we don't do damage out of ignorance. So I said, at the very least, there's so much on the internet, on the RPS website. There's all kinds of resources. There are people like Coaching Network or the kind of different academies in the different regions. So some people are offering like short courses. It's something you could put on your PDR for CPD, not just attending Clinical Pharmacy Congress. So I think, and of course, do ask other people, but I think as a minimum is worth reading about the subtle differences and understanding how you need to manage someone, because literally sometimes they can be so dependent on you, and you want to kind of guide them along the right way without doing damage.
Yeah, that's a really important point. Thank you, Lelly.
Thank you.
Did anyone else have anything they wanted to add, Diane?
Just very quickly to say that I think those subtle differences are important in understanding your personality type as well. I generally don't coach. That I can coach and I have had the training, but it's not it doesn't suit me. I'm better with, there's an issue, we want to get somewhere, let's do it, and let's do it together, and I'll hold your hand and we get it done together. So I think that's really important, because there are some people who say they're coaching, but actually what they're doing is mentoring, and so it's important to do that. And yes, they're right, there are resources online, there are free training online around coaching, mentoring, and what the differences are. So I think it's important that we have that as a minimum and learn that, and it doesn't take too long to do that.
Brilliant. Thank you very much, everybody. We'll come to an end. It's been a great, it's been really informative for me as well, and I hope it's been really informative for everyone that's listening. So I will put the links that everyone's mentioned into the various chat box on LinkedIn and Facebook for people to access. And as has already been mentioned, the RPS mentoring platform is available for members to sign up to, and obviously UK BPA has one as well, depending on what you feel your needs are. And like has already been mentioned, if there's anyone out there that inspires you and is a bit of a role model, reach out to them and ask them. And I know one advice I got when I was thinking about what jobs to do, if there's someone doing the job you want or you think you want, just email them and say, how did you get there? What do I need to do? And people are more than happy to help. So, and if they don't, the worst they can do is ignore your message. So, it's all good. So Diane, did you want to come in?
Yeah, just for a quick thing, please do your homework before you contact them.
Okay,
Don't contact them expecting them to do everything for you. The very least, have read up, know a little bit about them, and then approach them. Because we're hearing conversations about, particularly for those who want to get into industry, for example, and they haven't done very basic understanding of what's available freely online, and then wanting the very basics. So just things like that would be really useful.
Yeah, brilliant. Thank you very much, everybody. So this kind of is our last chat for Black History Month, but still we'll be putting out profiles. We've got a few more to come out. We'll be doubling up over the next few days because we've got so many to profile. So thank you very much for those profiles as well. And thank you for everyone here and for what you're doing as well, and mentoring each other and looking after each other. So a final thank you and a goodbye, and I hope everyone enjoys the rest of the evening.